The book Atlas Shrugged served as a warning about the pitfalls of big government, and now the second installment of the movie series is generating a lot of buzz.
For the duration of the national emergency, that the statutes of Directive 10-289 shall remain in effect. All copyrights shall be transferred to the federal government. All wages and other forms of income are hereby frozen.
It's all happening so fast.
I won't be a slave.
So do parts of this film ring true in today's society? Joining us now, the producer of Atlas Shrugged, parts 1 and 2. He's working on part 3 as well, Harmon Kaslow. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
We're doing great, thank you. This book, written in the 1950s, why do you think it's resonating today?
Well, you know, the book was written by Ayn Rand. It was written after the New Deal policies had been enacted, and she really wrote it as a warning. And here we are 50 years later. A lot of the things that she wrote about are things that we talk about on a daily basis in the news.
And give us some examples, Harmon, of the things that seemed so futuristic or science fiction-like back in 1957 when Ayn Rand wrote it that now have come to pass.
I won't be a slave.
Well, I mean, just the overreaching nature, of the government. In fact, President Obama in his closing statements at the debate was talking about, everybody should have their fair share, and yet, a big theme that runs through part 2 of the movie is, the Fair Share Act, and we see the implications of that type of collectivist sort of thinking on the part of Washington, D.C., and how that impacts, our economy. And here we are in the midst of, a very tough economy and high unemployment. And these are the very themes that Ayn Rand warned us about when she wrote the big book in 1957.
Themes even like entitlement spending, and you look at the rise of entitlements over the years. Go back to 1960, $24 billion. 2010, $2.2 trillion committed dollars on entitlements. But let me ask you, sir, I read an interesting quote from a liberal writer about Ayn Rand. Michael Shermer said, "Why don't liberals recognize Ayn Rand as a champion for fought against racism, bigotry, discrimination against minorities, and most notably ahead of her time in championing women's rights? So why don't liberals do the same as conservatives when recognizing her vision?"
That's a great question, because mainstream media and Hollywood, they had, for example, John Agliolora, the producer, he acquired the rights more than 20 years ago, tried to get Hollywood to make this movie, and for some reason, they just fear this message will somehow, disrupt the left-leaning agenda. But the message is really just about smaller government, individual rights, and free markets, and those are certainly the things that support capitalism. And for some reason now, capitalism has become a dirty word, and Atlas Shrugged just really opens our eyes on kind of the path that this type of thinking takes us on.
Interesting to know how long it's taken to make this movie.
Yeah.
But again, it opened Friday night, part 2 of Atlas Shrugged. Harmon Kaslow, you're the producer. Thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very